BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean
Hey,
K.
welcome to the BSing with Sean K podcast. I am your host, Sean Kneese. And on this show, I talk with people who live outside the box, actors, comedians, bloggers, filmmakers, writers, activists, and anybody else who's pursuing their creative and or intellectual passions. And this is episode 103, and for this episode, I'm going to play you a conversation I had with Stephanie Palacino, who's a YouTuber, actress, and writer-director who is currently in LA, but she has also acted in the UK as well. She's originally from Miami. She is known as CaFFINEJedi on YouTube and has had a YouTube channel since about 2006, I'd say. She has also lived in Japan and has done YouTube vlogs about that. She's interested in nerd culture and does a lot of reviews of movies and also rants about current events and trends and just random things going on in her life. She is the director, writer, and star of an Amazon Prime miniseries, Drowning in Sunshine, which she filmed in the UK, and it is currently in post-production and will be released in the near future. And it was a good conversation. There are some spoilers for Star Wars and Game of Thrones, so just be warned about that. But here it is, and I hope you enjoy it. Just start off talking about yourself and how you got into acting and what you do with your videos and everything and how you got started with your channel.
Yeah, so I started on YouTube like really long time ago. Probably when YouTube first started, and I just used it to complain about the crappy parking situation in my university. And, got a lot of hate because whenever you post anything new on YouTube, it's always like, a bunch of trolls telling you how much you suck. Once you get past that, I did it for fun. It was kind of my soapbox just to complain for a long time. And then I moved to Japan and I started talking about my experiences out there, and then I moved to England and I just talked about like my day-to-day life. Unfortunately, I haven't been as up to date with my YouTube channel as the algorithm would like me to, so YouTube is a cruel mistress sometimes.
Yeah, I saw the last thing you posted was the Rise of Skywalker review. I just finally saw it yesterday. It was not too bad. New trilogy kind of like went in a weird direction from where it originally started.
I mean, I too one day wish to be so famous that I can completely like not give a fuck about the stuff I do. Like, I'm like, wow, you got to do Star Wars and that's what you came up with? Woof. That's a low bar now. All right. I don't hate it like in this way. Some people are like, everybody's a bunch of SJW cucks on that, that movie. I'm like, Jesus Christ, shut up. But then, at the same time, I'm like, like, I felt like they started off kind of strong and then just, like, stumbled their way through it blindly and were like, yeah, it's good enough. Screw it, we don't want to put too much thought into it. People are dumb. Like, that's what I felt like they were saying to the audience. Like, just, be dumb. Buy the crap. Go to Disney World. Go to Star Wars Land. Like, that's all it felt like.
Yeah. But, some of the spin-offs have been, like, a little better as far as that goes.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch The Mandalorian, which I really enjoyed. It's a good, good series, solid. Unfortunately, Disney Plus really has like nothing else going on for it. Besides, if you want to just go down nostalgia lane. I mean, I have a small child, so for me, it's like, I guess I'll just put on some, Mickey Mouse, the Clubhouse or something, because she really is into Mickey. But like, in terms of like original content, I'm like, my God, they launched with literally like one thing and then a bunch of crap. And then, of course, their reruns. Their stuff that they bought off Fox, like The Simpsons and things like that. But I'm I was tempted to cancel already. I was like, do I really need this? Maybe I should just pirate the stuff I want, you know?
I think they're talking about the Star Wars is fitting, though, because your YouTube username is CaFFINEJedi, so obviously Star Wars has been, like, a big influence.
Oh, yeah, I really was. Like, okay, so it's actually CaFFINEJedi, because I had an ex-boyfriend who couldn't spell the word caffeine, but close enough. That's what the joke is. But yeah, look, I was really into Star Wars, probably in high school. Like, I actually watched the original trilogy for the first time at the age of, like, 14. And I loved it. Like, I was so into it. I had, like, the VHSs of it. It was, like, crazy how much I loved it. So I was into it. I like the EU stuff. I was into the original extended universe. And yeah, I was, I'm not a prequels fan. It's pretty garbage. I mean, I guess the last one's okay. But I would say this about the prequels, they have a good soundtrack. John Williams has some good stuff. That's the thing about these trilogies, though. I can't think of, like, a score where I was like, wow, it's amazing. Like, even the prequels has, like, Duel of Fates, which is, like, an epic song, dun dun. It's like that Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. Anyway, I'm sounding super nerdy right now, but I did very much enjoy Star Wars. Disney, I mean, they're corporate overlords, so what can you do? They're never gonna get it. Like, the heart definitely feels like it's not there. It feels like a movie by committee, as opposed to, like, George Lucas, doing whatever the F he feels like it, because he's George frickin' Lucas, which is good and bad. But, the new Star Wars definitely has it definitely feels like a bunch of old people are sitting in a room thinking, like, well, how can we make money with this movie? Yeah. Let's bring J.J. Abrams, he made that Star Trek all the kids liked, and, we know how well Lost went. I don't know if you ever watched Lost. That was one of my.
I actually never watched Lost. I heard that, like, a lot of good things about it, though. But, like, that was another one where the season finale everybody hated, right? Kind of like how with Dexter and.
Yeah, it's totally one of those, like, hey, do you like this? Let me kick dirt in your face. It like, that was my first heartbreak in, like, television. And then Game of Thrones happened within the last year, and that also, like, just. Oh, man. Also, some people who failed upwards, those two.
Yeah, with the last season of Game of Thrones, it's almost like that's become a thing that people enjoy doing. It's just like making memes about how bad that final season was.
It really was really horrible. It was like these two I never felt so much I don't care and I don't want to be here. Like, it's fine. I've been to jobs where I don't care and I don't want to be there, so I know I act like a jerk and don't give a crap. But that's what it felt like, except it's an entire series. So you you spend all this time and energy trying to make this basically, like, groundbreaking series, and after, like, 6 seasons, or what was it? I don't even know the season they ended on. Well, at the end of it, they were like, what, screw it. We just are going to stumble through this. I guess we're under contract with HBO, but we've made enough money and we don't care anymore. Like, it really felt that way.
Because they ran out of good source material. Like, the first couple of seasons were good because they had the books to go by, but then it started declining after that.
Like, I'll say this. There was a couple things, even though, yes, I agree. That's when things started to go real haywire. But, when... Spoilers. When Cersei went all crazy and, like, blew up the Citadel, I was, like, all into it. I was like, oh my god. Wow. They got me good, and they killed Marjorie, who I loved. Oh my god, Natalie Dormer. I'm in love with you.
That's a lot of, like, what you do with your channel is, like, reviews of movies or just, like, your thoughts on things going on. So, the acting, like, how long have you been into the acting? Have you been into that as long as you've been making YouTube videos, or were you a YouTuber? First?
No, I did YouTube first. I did acting as a kid, and then I'm actually not getting back into acting. Like, I did a couple series for fun a few years ago, and then I kind of let it go, and I've been focusing on writing for the last 5 or 6 years of my life. I don't know, a lot. Because that's what I try to do, is I try to write. But then I realized, I really enjoy acting, and since I'm back in Los Angeles, what better way to get back into it? So, I probably started focusing on it more heavily in the past 4 months. But I did a few projects before, but now I'm actually like, okay, I'm taking classes again. I'm doing my headshots again. I'm shooting my show reel. It's weird because I have a lot of actor friends, but I'm mostly I'm still very unknown, but I was mostly known for directing and writing. And now I'm acting again. No, I'm sorry. I'm fighting a toddler to put his diaper. Put your diaper on.
Yeah, I've been pursuing like acting in the New York area, New York and New Jersey area. But I guess you started in the UK was where you were doing that series Drowning in Sunshine, right? That's on Amazon Prime, where you're the main character in that series, right?
Yeah, exactly. I shot that a few years ago, and we're finally releasing it. It's not quite out yet, but it will be in the next couple weeks. I've been slightly delayed because we're doing subtitles, and now Final Cut decides that doesn't like our grade anymore, so it's going to be like, boo, no more, color grade for you. So we've been having a couple technical difficulties as we try to finish this off. But it should be out in the next couple weeks. It'll be on Amazon, I think Vimeo On Demand, and we'll also have it on iTunes. So, and there's some little bits already that are out. Like we did some, they're kind of like previews of sorts. So these little vlogs we shot of some of the characters. It kind of gives you a preview into what the show is like. And those are like available on the Facebook page. If you just go to Drowning in Sunshine Facebook page, you can see it.
And what can you say, I guess, about the story of that film and like how it came together?
Oh, it was kind of like made as a joke about the fact that they used to tell me I swam to the UK. Like, oh, you swam to get here, ha ha ha. And so it has a little element of magical realism, but the idea is it's about a girl who gets shot off a boat in Miami and she washes up in Brighton Beach in the UK. And, she just kind of starts her new life. Like nothing happened, she just makes friends, and little does she know that a bunch of assassins have been sent to kill her. But they kind of like end up like offing themselves in various little ways. And through it, there's like flashbacks that show what happened to her when she was in Miami. We also like integrated a lot of 2D animation into it, which was kind of fun because I'm really a big fan of 2D animation. So it's kind of like I guess tonally, it's quite a dark comedy, I guess you can say. It gets really silly and literally cartoony at points, and then it can go very dark.
And the character's based off you a little bit, but...
I mean, obviously everybody takes a little bit. Like, there's an immigration agent in the show that was literally based off of some horrible bitch I met in Gatwick Airport who didn't want to let me into the UK because she insisted that I was like a drug dealer or... Like, she was really, like, making up all kinds of craziness in her head. Like, everything I was saying was just, like, the wrong thing for her. She was like, I was always detained for, like, I don't know, like 6 hours in Gatwick immigration. And it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was a traumatic experience. I would just say it was, like, so ridiculous. Like, these people were just being so ridiculous. I'm like, I don't want to stay here without a visa. I'm just visiting someone. Jesus Christ, what do you want from me? It's like, I had a return ticket, but I didn't have, it was an open flight, so, like, they were, like, giving me all kinds of crap about it. Not they. It was specifically this one lady, because her boss and everybody else working with her were, like, actually real nice. But she was a crazy bitch who just insisted that I was obviously a criminal, and I'd come to the UK for, like, their free crappy health care. No, I actually, their health care was alright, but it was free, which was nice.
So she was able to just, like, search you like
okay.
that with no basis whatsoever.
Basically, she just kind of was a jerk about it. Anyway, her boss was nice and let me through. They did search my bags, but they were only going to find, like, underwear. Like, have fun. Going through my dirty laundry. I didn't even help. They were like, I was just like, there. Enjoy yourselves. But it was actually, they were nice to me, and they were like, okay, you can go. And then immediately after that, I ended up contacting an immigration lawyer, and I was like, I need to figure this out because I've been stopped, and this is going to be a problem for me. And then I had to, like, actually become a resident, which was a long and arduous process because immigration sucks. That's a universal thing, though.
Yeah, I guess it's a little different in the process is a little different in the UK, though, I'm guessing, than the US, though, right? Yeah.
At the time, I would say it was a little bit easier than the US. And now they both are pretty difficult. We just did the whole paperwork for my husband because we're in the US now, and he needed a green card. So it was more, I wouldn't say it was difficult as it is arduous and expensive. It's kind of like they just try to make it as tedious as possible. Like they're just trying to make you tired with bureaucracy so you'll give up. But you know, he's white, so Trump says that's okay. And so he made it through.
How does acting, like the film and acting change, like between the UK and the other places you've been to?
So, compared to like Los Angeles, see, the thing, I don't know how to say it. Like, I haven't had too much, like, I do act with people in Los Angeles. Definitely here you got it's funny because both sides have their pros and cons. Like, I definitely say that, like, the UK has a lot of theatrically trained people. Like, the UK's acting is very much still by the book, old style. You gotta study Shakespeare, you know. And they still are quite ritualistic about their way of acting. And very much, you know, which acting school did you go to? Did you go to RADA? Did you go to Lambda? Da, 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 da. Whereas the U.S., there isn't really an acting school, you know. I mean, there are, but they're not really, like, you know, it's classes. And you can go to them, and you can see if you like them, and, you know, it's more of a networking, whereas UK is still, like, it's still about your old school connections. That's what I found. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but, like, you know, like, for example, Daniel Radcliffe, as great as he is, an actor, he's like a prime example. His mom was a freaking, like, agent. I'm like, oh, you know, he wasn't just some random kid who showed up and was great. I'm like, no, he was a connected kid. He was very good, but that's kind of how it works. So, I mean, it's still how it works in the U.S. too. But I would say the U.S. is a little more informal about acting still, in terms of the industry.
So in England, it's more like who your family was and who you're related to, even more so than you. Yeah.
They still have a very classist attitude out there that, you know, it permeates all aspects of life. That's just the British way, you know. They're still a monarchy. For the time being. A couple people did. Yeah.
And they still have other countries that are like a part of the, like, under the monarchy technically too.
I mean, yeah, they technically have like colonies. Like, I think that Commonwealths, I think you know, they have Jamaica is technically part of the Commonwealth, Canada is, but Australia, but, you know, they don't, it's not like they're controlled by the Queen. I guess, you know, in theory they are, but they're not, but they are, but they're not. You know, that's the best way of saying it.
So you said, like, the UK is, like, where you mainly pursued it, and now you're doing it again in LA, like, so what's it been like getting into the LA scene? I know that's also very competitive.
Because that's what I was about to say. I'm like, well, it's competitive as competitive can be, but at the same time, there's, like, more opportunity. And so, at the moment, I'm still trying to, like, really get myself forward. Like I said, I've done it because I spent so much of the past few years directing and writing. I don't have an up-to-date show reel, so I'm like, oh God, I gotta do this. Fun trick for you kids who want to get into acting: shoot your own show reel. What I mean is that, like, hire somebody to either write your stuff and shoot it for you, or just shoot it for you if you can write your own stuff. That's what I'm doing, because no one is going to give you the opportunities to get everything you want. So just do it yourself, because if you're waiting on some students to give you back some footage, you know, unfortunately, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's crap, sometimes they lose the footage, sometimes you'll never get that footage, sometimes it looks terrible, you know, so sometimes you just did not come out the way you wanted to. So it's an investment upon yourselves.
Writing and directing is, like, your main dream of what you want to do at this point?
Okay, the dream is to be a showrunner. Like, I want my own show. I know that everybody wants to do feature films, and that's the big thing. But I love the new age of television. You know, that's so much more interesting. I love the long form storytelling. I love, you know. I mean, to be fair though, I'm gonna say that most series should not go on for more than 3 to 5 seasons. Like, if I made a show, I'd be like, well, I'm cutting it down at 3, 5 tops, because some people are like, yeah, you know, some shows just go on too long, or just go off the deep end. I sometimes wonder, because I'm at the stage where I also try to pitch, or at least I'm learning to pitch, and one of the things they tell us is that, like, you know, they want to see a plan. All these networks want to see a plan. And I'm like, well, some of these shows are somehow slipping through the cracks without any friggin' plans.
Yeah, I kind of agree that a lot of the good writing nowadays has gone to television. Well, they also have more time to develop the characters in a series than you do just, you know, in a 2-hour-long film.
Well, the funny thing about that is that we always get told, and to some degree it's true, is that, like, the There's a whole generation of people who have like ADD, like, we don't have the attention span for slow movies. But one of the biggest complaints about The Last Jedi specifically was like, it was like breakneck. It was like ridiculous how quick everything was going. No breathing, no character development. It was like this, that, and that. And I couldn't stand that. And maybe it's because we're also getting spoiled by television or, even streaming, because there you can really let things breathe out. Now, sometimes they get a little slow, and I always find the first few episodes of any show I watch to be a little hard. I'm like, what's going on here? But then, if I like it after episode 3, it's like, all right, let's continue this show. Now I've gotten a little bit attached to these characters. I want to know what adventures they're going on and what will happen next. So, I think television, I feel like you can do a lot more fleshed out, fun stuff than movies allow. Movies are still good. I think in the indie scene, you can still get some good stuff. But honestly, like, even the blockbusters are all part of franchises. So they also have, like, about 25 pieces to them.
Yeah, then there's a lot of remakes and sequels that weren't really necessary.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that till the cows come home. There was actually, I think, since Disney has bought out, like, a bunch of studios, particularly they bought out Fox. Not a lot of people know this, but the amount of movies being made is actually significantly less than it was last year and the year before that. Because Disney is basically only making what Disney movies. They're not going to make the last few Fox, maybe Searchlight stuff, the last few, those type of movies. For example, it seemed like to me they were trying to bury Jojo Rabbit. I don't know if you know about that movie.
I know what the basics of it. It's like a World War II comedy, like a very dark comedy.
It's a dark comedy. Where, like, Taika Waititi is the director, and it's really great. I loved it. Plays Hitler, essentially. It's really funny. And he plays the imaginary friend of this little boy who's he wants to be a Nazi. And obviously, that was originally Fox, but Fox got bought out by Disney. And Disney didn't seem too keen on it, but they did release it, and it's still being released. But I don't feel like movies like that. Like, I really, really like that movie. But I don't feel like Disney will allow movies like that to be part of their brand, their umbrella brand, whereas Fox was a little more open-minded to it.
Yeah. So Mickey Mouse is having, like, too much say, I guess.
I mean, you could see. I think that was the whole issue with Star Wars. That whole franchise. And as for what Marvel's doing next, I don't know. It seems like they really, like, concluded. Like, that's the feeling. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna make other ones, but the end already kind of happened.
Yeah, I guess that's why all those Netflix series they were doing that were more dark are ending now, because Disney. But they're also doing a Black Widow movie, which I'm guessing is going to be more dark. So.
I mean, I find it kind of ridiculous. We know what happens to her. I hate these type of movies. I think the movie should have been released 3 years ago.
Yeah, because they're just retelling the origin story she already explained. But at the same time, I guess she never had a standalone film. But they could have done something like further in the future. Yeah.
People wanted a standalone film like 5 years ago. People were asking for a standalone film, which was the time to do it, the time to develop it, the time to get it ready. Now I'm afraid that I very much enjoy Scarlett Johansson. It's not a problem with Black Widow, but I feel like I don't care anymore. I know what happens to that character.
I guess, how'd you get into, like, nerd culture or, like, comics or all that stuff?
I dated a nerd in high school, and that was that. And, then I got infected with the nerd. I think it started with, like, anime, and then he's like, I'll lend you my copy of Final Fantasy VIII. Not 7. I know everybody starts with 7. I went to 8, which was very difficult.
Yeah, I think 10, a lot of people
played. Oh, I loved 10.
Yeah.
10 was good for me because I was like a teenage girl, so I was just right for that demographic.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hi.
Yeah, then they even had 10-2. They had the sequel to 10-2 also.
I played 10-2. I did. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's cheesy, but I love it. I'm like, you know what? It's funny. I like these characters. I think that they had a good mix of people, and it was like the first time that you had Final Fantasy characters talking. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, also back in the day, that lip syncing was just terrible because they just didn't bother.
So I guess that's what drew you to Japan then, because I know that for a while you were doing a lot of videos in Japan.
I
And
did.
yeah.
I was nerdy, and then I went to university, and I thought, it'd be fun. I'm gonna go live in Japan. That seems like cool. And then I lived in Japan, and it was cool, but it was cool in a completely different way. It was nothing like you think it would be. I mean, some parts are. But it's like, let's just say the real nerdy people, they don't stay. You have to adjust to reality. And the real world is the same. It's like, is Batman like the way America is? No? Okay, well, manga is not the way that Japan is. All right? Funny enough, life does not only revolve around high schoolers. As Japan would make you believe.
But there is a lot of cinema that comes out there, right? There's I don't know if you got involved in the business there at all, like with acting or.
No, I was still no, I kind of regret not, but like I've always wanted to go back to film. Like now that I'm into it, and I have a good amount of connections like in Japan to actually film. And I've always wanted to. I'm like, oh, it would be great to go back and, do something there. While I was out there, unfortunately, I didn't have much chance or will or, even the know-how.
I'm guessing it'd be harder to break into Japanese cinema not being from Japan, too.
I wouldn't say that. I would say, shoot for whatever you want, but it is possible. Like, I've known people who started to do stuff and do stuff out there.
So who are some filmmakers that influenced you?
Oh, yeah, let me think. Tarantino, obviously, because he goes very gory and kind of ridiculous, and I enjoy that that kind of feeling. And Wes Anderson, because he also goes kind of quirky and weird. So let me think if there's any other ones I like. Well, I love Taika Waititi. I think he's great. I love What We Do in the Shadows. I think that was it was amazing. Like it was such an indie, it was from New Zealand too, an indie New Zealand film. And it's actually really great. I don't know if you've watched the series. They made a series about it. And the series is also very good. And it doesn't like retread the same thing. You think, oh, a series based off a movie that's going to be dumb, because it usually is. But no, it's actually great.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the movie or the show, to be honest.
Oh man, highly recommend. I would do both because they're both hilarious. But one takes place in the United States. The series takes place in the U.S. and they have U.S. actors, or well, some British actors. But it's like the place that it takes in is the U.S., whereas the other one is like actually takes place in New Zealand.
So, what have been some of your main challenges, like as a writer and director, and like what are some things you've learned about writing? And like, in what ways have you improved, or you think you need to improve in the future?
Oh man, writing is hard. It's so much more not formulaic. That sounds like the wrong term, but there's a lot more bolts to it than we think. There's a lot more little things, little bits that you have to learn how to stack things together in the right way and be prepared to take criticism. A lot of writers have this problem. Somebody's going to come and they're going to rip your work apart. So don't be precious. Don't be precious. Learn to just go with the flow, and sometimes you're going to have to change things. As for directing, learn how to be an asshole. I know that sounds weird because a lot of directors are known to be assholes. But in my situation, I was way too nice, and it really screwed up a lot of things when you have to learn how to like lay down the law, and it's like herding cats. Like that's how it really feels like to get people to the right place when they're supposed to be there, and it's a nightmare. But it's fun, but it's a nightmare. So you have to have the right backbone for it and be prepared to just get things done. I think that's the best advice I could give to anyone who wants to direct. Be prepared to get it done.
Yeah, because I guess that's the only way to get people on set to listen to you and to direct that many people once.
Oh yeah, and you're gonna have to, and be careful about your crew. Good crew is like, it's worth its weight in gold. You get one bad apple, they can really mess up your sets, man. And I had multiple bad apples. I felt like I had oh god, all the apples were going bad. not all of them. I had very good people too, but I've had some experiences of. But like I said, when I get a good crew, oh my god, it like works like a fine Rolex watch.
Oh yeah. But I imagine that like doing YouTube and receiving criticism there kind of prepared you for like whatever criticism you get with filmmaking, because I feel like YouTube people are like really harsh, especially because they're anonymous. Like they'll just say whatever.
The thing about YouTube, it did help a lot. It's really like made YouTube is good. It's bad too, but good in the sense that you're gonna get such gruesome jerks, but then you have to like kind of learn to like just kind of go with the flow of it. Sometimes like so when I would get like comments that are particularly nasty, I just kind of like compliment them for how nasty they made it. Like I was like, oh man, that's a good one. Or if it's not that nasty, I'd be like, boo, minus 15 points. That wasn't even that good. I can insult myself better. And in some weird ways, that helps. That helps you just kind of get over it. And, some people get like the threats, and I've definitely gotten YouTube threats, but, I kind of found one funny. Like there was a straight up, like a guy who was really like threatening to like rape me. And then he found my email, and it was like, I guess he was really trying to scare me, but I was really finding it really funny. So I was like, you don't know when to show up on my doorstep, because I'm a crazy person. So, it would not behoove anyone to like, try and do that to me, because I'm American, and we tend to kill people who enter our houses.
That's true.
So, basically this guy like went on quite like this rant, and basically he was even saying how he was going to like his plan to do it. And like I kind of at the end was like inviting him. I'm like, go ahead, what, you want me to meet you at the train station? Like, what are you gonna wear? Let me know. And then at the end of it all, it was basically, I'm sorry, I was just trying to get your attention. I wanted to talk to you. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, it's like I guess because they're hiding behind an avatar, so it's kind of they have it's easy to like act kind of tough or whatever until they're called out on it.
Oh yes, that's true. It's and I got one guy I remember once who like he threatened to kill me. So I read his entire message on YouTube. Like I made a YouTube video where I just read his message to me, and I read his username. I said, this is the guy. And then I said, and I just left it at that. I didn't say anything else. Oh no, I think I said, come and get me. Like I think that's what I said, because that's me. I always do crap like that. Within the end of the day, I had people had sent me where he worked, his phone number, his address, the fact that he was in the Canadian military. Yeah, it was like, I didn't do anything with that information, but no one's as anonymous as they think they are.
Yeah. But so is there like a positive side you like to YouTube too, or
absolutely,
do you see
absolutely.
like...
I've made a lot of friends from YouTube. At my wedding, one of my friends that I met through YouTube went, God, no, I've known so many good friends from YouTube. Tons of them. I can't even tell you how many. Like, yeah, I've met a lot of really good people through YouTube. And, so I have more positives than negatives of my experience. And I would say it's still a lot of fun. I would say I do get the feeling that YouTube doesn't even want YouTubers there. Like I'm starting to get that feeling from the platform a little bit. Like, they want a specific thing, which they're not going to have, because YouTube is not going to be television as much as YouTube wants it to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, because they demonetize a lot of. It's harder to make money off YouTube now too. You have to have like a Patreon. You used to be able to make more money off ads if you got a certain amount of views and everything. But
yeah, that's unfortunately the case now. I mean, YouTube, I think they're trying to like it seemed like they were breaking hard on the adult content. And by adult, I don't mean porno, but what I mean is anybody who was speaking with like a lot of curse words or talking about things that were a little more explicit. they were really trying to like to put the gas on the kids content and the family content, but then like, CAPA came raining down on them like, no. So now they got to go backtracking. And I feel like YouTube's actually letting up a bit, and they're a little more open to advertising on things that they wouldn't before because of it. Because now they got to go back to their nuts and bolts of the fact that YouTube was for, teenagers, college kids, and now older millennials such as myself.
Yeah, and you also know Dick Coughlin. I had him on this show like many years ago.
Richard.
He was like one of my first guests on the show. Actually, he talked about comedy in the UK and everything. And
yes, Richard is actually in Drowning in Sunshine.
Oh, he is on the. Well, I guess whenever the series is out, I'll be able to. So you said it'll be out like this year. Like it's been in post production for a while.
It's been in post production for a long time. Many stories to it. But long story short, it's just like we had to redo a lot of the animation. Animation takes literal years. So that happened, and then we just, like I said, every time the Final Cut decides to update, it makes my life a little more difficult. But at this point, I'm literally just subtitling it, and we're rendering the last bits, and that should be it. But yeah, Richard is actually, he's one of the characters on there. And yeah, we've known each other for years, actually. He's someone I met through YouTube.
Yeah, so I guess YouTube, you originally got involved in just as a way to, I guess, kind of connect with more people, network, that kind of thing.
Oh, I did it originally just to complain, like, yeah, and then, then I used it for, like, making friends.
Do you use it at all to promote, like, will you use it all to, like, promote any of your film projects you're going to do or anything, or?
Not as much as I should. To be honest, I need to get back onto YouTube to do, like, more of the vloggy stuff, because I think that's what people liked, is the vlogs side of stuff. The thing about YouTube is you have to do the same exact thing again and again and again, because if you don't, then your audience is just like, they don't like the content that's different. If you want to do different content, you have to make like a completely different channel, which is really annoying. But that's the way the cookie crumbles in YouTube. So if you want to do like sketches, you can't do, you have to do a different channel. If you want to do vlogs, you got to do a vlog channel, That's kind of
your audience wants to see like one thing, so you have to.
They want to do one format, and they don't like change. And if your audience isn't always clicking, then YouTube is going to start dropping you down in the algorithms, and yeah, that's the way it works.
Yeah, it's easier to do that now, though, at least, because now at least you can have one email address and make multiple accounts. It used to be you had to always get a different email to make a different account.
That's how I ended up with like 6 Gmail accounts.
Yeah, yeah. I've been thinking about. I've been wanting to. Because I got a lot of views on this one voice acting skit I did like a couple of years ago. So I've been, one of the things I'm going to start working on is these like voice acting skits with different characters. I just would have to find someone who knows about animation, because I don't know about that. But voice acting is something I'm interested in as well.
Oh yeah, I just actually had to do a lot of, because I'm also working on this comic book, which will... Oh, that one's taking. That's a slow burn because the artist takes quite a long time. But it's a motion comic, and it has voice actors in it actually. So I've been doing all the recordings lately, and I have one of the actresses. She's playing the lead is a girl named Jenny Lorenzo, and she's a YouTuber, and she's also an influencer on Facebook and stuff. She's very popular with the Miami Cuban community because she does a lot of the old Cuban grandma skits.
All right, and. So I guess what do you have? I guess what do you have planned with the future for everything? And what's like your goal of where you one day want to be with everything?
So yeah, like I said, I'm releasing Drowning in Sunshine in the next couple of weeks. I have some other stuff already up. I did a web series called XD Junction, which, funny enough, it's small and not a lot of people watched it, but enough people liked it that watched it that, it's gotten decent ratings on IMDb. It's gotten fan art sometimes. Like, sometimes get people, like, mentioning it to me. Like, I watched it. It was lovely. I'm like, okay, I guess that was good. I'm also, like I said, working on a motion comic. I guess I'll start releasing those episodes sometime next year or within the year. I don't know. I got to see how stuff folds out. My life became a lot more complicated since I had a child. But as for future goals, like I said, I want to be a showrunner. I'm trying to pitch stuff I'm working on to different networks, trying to get an agent, trying to just Do the hustle, because that is the Los Angeles life.
Yeah, they have Actors Connection where you are too, right? Where you can, because they have a lot of good seminars in New York at Actors Connection. Like I went to one for commercial agent was the last one I went to, and before that was more the one I went to before that. She worked with some actors that worked on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. They have like these 1-day seminars where you audition for an agent. I don't know, because I know they have Actors Connection in LA too. So
I'm sure that they have that. My thing is, of course, I will be doing that in the next couple weeks or month maybe, because what I'm trying to do is, like I said, I don't want to go up soliciting to agents or managers until I have something to show them. So, like, I've got to get my new headshots done. I got a few already done. And I want to have a reel that's, like, ready. And I want to make sure I have, like, my pocket monologues ready. And I wanted to make sure I'm ready to pitch myself before I go into it. That's kind of my plan. Maybe it's a little bit more like of a careful planning, but I'm older now, so now I'm a little bit more, I'm like, I know what I should do. Don't go running in head first. You seem like a loony. I mean, I seem like a loony anyway, so I gotta, tail it back.
Yeah. Well, I guess being a loony could be good, I guess, for entertainment. You could play like loony characters.
I started doing stand-up, which has been a lot of fun. I did my first stand-up show like 2 weeks ago. And I'm planning to do a few more. So that's also good for both. It's like the funny marriage of writing and acting, because, you're writing your stuff and you're also kind of performing it. And I recently was like thinking of taking a mime class, because I'm like, that's really helpful for body movement, and stand-up has a lot of body movement in it. Or at least it could. I find the best ones do. So that's something else I'm planning to do.
I feel like that's one of the hardest things to do is stand up, because you're kind of very vulnerable up there in front of people, just like talking about yourself in a humorous way. But you're also kind of laughing at yourself in a way. But it's just like the delivery's got to be right and everything. I feel like that's one of probably the hardest kind of performing to do is stand up.
I'm glad I started doing it, and I've been. Like I said, I enjoyed doing it, and I'm sure I'll have some great shows, and I'm sure I'm going to have some horrible ones. But it's cool. I'll do what I have to do. I'm trying every avenue I can in order to get the connections I need.
Just trying to be creative in as many ways as possible, or just performance.
Basically, yeah. All avenues lead to yes.
Yeah, that's same here, I guess. Like, and it all kind of overlaps and ties together, the different it's all it's good to be flexible nowadays too.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely is that aspect to it. But I'm enjoying the way things are so far, so Los Angeles hasn't burnt me to the ground yet. It's been a little bit rough and tumble getting here, because you live in New York, New Jersey, right? Is that your area?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, similarly, it's expensive as hell. So I'm like, oh my God, everything is so expensive in Los Angeles. Ugh. More expensive than the UK. But the convenience of the UK is I owned my house out there, so I didn't have to pay rent, which now I do.
Yeah, I guess it's also, for a lot of New Yorkers, probably hard to make the switch to, I mean, I drive in New Jersey and all that, but I mean, like, for, like, New Yorkers, it's hard to make the switch from New York to LA, because you have to drive everywhere too. You can't. I know the public transportation isn't as reliable.
It's non-existent. I had the same issue, because where I lived in Brighton, there was public transportation, and you walked everywhere, and we certainly didn't have a car, because that's a terrible idea. But here I have a car, and I drive, and I'm stuck in traffic, and I kind of learned to like not hate the traffic like the way some people do. Like, when you're in a hurry, it's the worst, but when you're just, like, driving from point A to point B, and you're not, just like, if you're sitting in traffic, just kind of, like, chill out and enjoy the sunset, this beautiful California sunset. Like, wow, that's pretty. Don't be, I'm originally from Miami, where traffic is insane also, but people are much more aggressive than Los Angeles. So, actually, I find LA people quite nice.
Oh, you feel like Miami's more aggressive than...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I always say Miami is the fakeness of Los Angeles with the aggressiveness of New York. Oh. So that's Miami.
Yeah, and they're filming a lot of stuff out there too, though, right? Like,
They usually don't, actually. They fake it. They film it in Los Angeles and tell you it's Miami.
okay, because I thought so Dexter, because I thought that
Oh,
was,
no, it's filmed almost exclusively in Los Angeles.
oh really?
Except
Yeah.
for, like, a couple shots. That was almost done, because they got rid of a lot of the tax credits. So, in order, you get tax credits if you film in certain places. Like Atlanta is like, they divvy them out like they're made out of peanut butter, because that's why so many things film in Atlanta now.
Yeah, the Good Wife did that with Chicago, because the Good Wife, I did background a couple times on the Good Wife. I played a perp in one episode, and then they gave me a name, Carter Nicholas. It was still non-speaking, but like they gave me a name, and then like that was my one scene on the Good Wife. But that was in New York. It was filmed, and then it was supposed to be taking place in Chicago, which was interesting. So they do that with a lot of shows. Also, like sometimes it's supposed to be in the Midwest, but they film
they
in
shoot
New
a
York.
lot in Atlanta. Also, yeah. Yep. That's the way it works. There's a couple cities, and I would say Atlanta and Los Angeles, and actually a little bit of Chicago. New Orleans did for a little while, but I think they sizzled down. Vancouver, they said film a lot in Vancouver. But yeah, that's how that goes.
What keeps you going, like even through, I guess, the hard times of like pursuing a career in entertainment?
Well, I would love to say the rejections get better, but it still pretty sucks. But it's you just got to keep trying. I was told by somebody who works in the industry, a couple people told me this, that the people who fail are the people who give up. So I'm like, all right, well then I'll definitely fail if I give up. But if I keep trying, there's always a chance, regardless.
Yeah, you just gotta take the chance.
Yeah, you just got to keep it. Like, I've gotten a little better with taking chances. I've gotten a little better with, being okay with being rejected. And I think that's a big part of it. You have to be okay with people telling you no 100 times, 1,000 times, because maybe one of them, number 1,001 will be your chance.
Yeah, it all depends on how much you believe in what you created and what you have to offer.
Well, I enjoy my own stuff. Maybe that's a little bit narcissistic, but I do. I find it funny with the stuff I made. Like, I think it has rewatch value because I rewatch it, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah, well, I feel like you have to have that attitude kind of to get ahead, Yeah. With entertainment, and because you have to have a little bit of an arrogance about your art, but then at the same time, like you said, also be open to criticism too. So it's kind of a balance of being like really sure of what you have and also knowing when to take in constructive criticism too.
Yeah, there is a fine balance to be made there. I think some artists are too full of themselves and they think they're fucking God's gift and nothing is better than them, but they're nobodies. And they have to learn to be a bit more flexible. And at the same time, some people are like, oh my God, they told me my stuff sucks. That's it. I give up. I'm going to go become a dentist. Be a terrible dentist. I have really shaky hands.
I guess any final thoughts or anything maybe we didn't cover?
You can probably still find me on YouTube and CaFFINEJedi. I usually will talk to people if they message me on Facebook. Not on my regular Facebook, the CaFFINEJedi Facebook. My regular Facebook, if I don't know you, I think you're some kind of person who's going to ask me for bobs and vagine. So I won't answer. I'll be like, what the hell is this? Delete. But on CaFFINEJedi, usually it's, I'll talk more to random people.
Cool. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on and talking about your work and the industry and all that.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Well, that was a conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I actually meant to interview her a while back when I first started the show because I was following a lot of YouTubers at the time, and that's when I interviewed Dick Coughlin. And did she mention in the interview he's a YouTuber in the UK and he's also a stand-up comedian. He does a lot of political comedy. And I meant to interview her at the time because I followed her channel as well, but I just never got around to it. And now, these days, I don't follow YouTube as much, so we talked more about acting than YouTube. Anyway, definitely check out her series Drowning in Sunshine on Amazon Prime when it's out, and subscribe to her YouTube channel, CaFFINEJedi. And you can follow more episodes of BSing with Sean K on Spotify and iTunes, also on my blogspot and my main website, SeanKneese.com. And anyway, I'll catch you on the next one.
BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean